Thank you. It takes an intellectual heavyweight to dare to quote Dolly Parton. So I won't. I'll quote Madonna. If we're going to save the world, can we please have a good time while we're doing it? And that I saw in Andy Warhol's museum yesterday. And I'm going to start. I came through the front door in the evening into Pittsburgh, and what a wow. And I just thought I would let you see how I saw Pittsburgh through somebody's eyes who had never been here before. The small big city, as I heard someone calling it, and it is. My city is a big small city, and I'll explain that. But a wonderful city set in this bowl, absolutely extraordinary. I didn't expect it. And I want one of those houses. So I decided I would walk around it. And here I am, starting off. And look at the detail. The detail of Pittsburgh is fabulous. And some of those, the money that went in, the care, the passion that went into what was just business premises. Absolutely wonderful. I know this isn't a Pittsburgh thing, but there seems to be a lot of yellow paint in Pittsburgh. Somebody did really well out of yellow paint. So many bridges. Why don't you turn some of them into pedestrian-only bridges and have markets on them? It's totally unnecessary to have that number of bridges with cars going over them. But wonderful bridges. And I've walked a web of bridges across Pittsburgh. I took a whole day just walking around. And brilliant things to see. More bridges under bridges. And I've noticed a really green movement in Pittsburgh. That I find really encouraging in a city that's got all these social challenges. We bike, we walk, we vote. Next mayor, a member. And eye-catching things like container bike stores. I'm going to steal this. I'm definitely going to steal it. I spend my life going around the world stealing ideas of other cities. That's what we should all do. And it's great to see the Port Authority has now got hybrid electric, because we're bringing that in too. And that the Pirates even have a very green agenda. Left field city. I think it's left field city. It's definitely left field city. With a duck from Holland, Dutch duck. I want to steal that too. And I love your ducks, that they all gather around your duck. There wasn't a duck anywhere else to be seen. They'd all come to Mum. But walking around got a little bit challenging at times. I'm so pleased that you yield to pedestrians on crosswalks. But I did come to a complete dead end trying to get to a park. But that happens in any city. But I love food. Primanti's. I had the biggest sandwich I've ever had. Didn't eat for another day. Had some very good beer. I like beer. And I talked to Glenn, who was playing the trumpet, who recommended me, he recommended that I go for breakfast at De Luca. And he was right. And a big breakfast that meant I saved lunch. And I went out to Lawrenceville with people from the mayor's office to see what they're doing with volunteering, and that's something I'm going to steal. Cities of Service that I was talking to Mike Bloomberg about only a couple of weeks ago in London. It's a great city. And this written on one of the bridges informed me for today. Knowledge is gained when you admit ignorance. We could all learn from that. Anyway, back to Bristol. That's what I'm here for. Independent city, a big, small city, in that it doesn't have that same muscular scale. Liverpool does. Bristol is more a county town that grew into a city. 1 hour 40 on the train from London now. It'll be 1 hour 20 by 2017. It's the port from which Newfoundland was discovered by John Cabot. I think he beat Columbus to discovering the mainland, but I'm not sure about that. We always claim he did. It's port city, discovery and invention, Brunel to... We are one of the silicon focuses in Europe. We've got incredible inventive minds and great historic landmarks. It's a city that's surrounded by countryside, and it stops where the country begins. That is something we're fortunate with. Because we are a dense population, we did deal with that issue of stopping the city at an edge. And we have a wonderful edge, and we have a wonderful gateway into the city down the Avon Gorge, which you can see under the Clifton Suspension Bridge built by Brunel. A city that spreads right out to its dock that is 7 or 8 miles out of the city that came down the river. The port, the modern port is out there. The ancient port used to be in the water that you see in the front here, which now has become the place to live, as in so many cities. Why did I stand for mayor? So this is a wee bit of a personal story. I came to University of Bristol. I became passionate about the city. I felt that it was bogged down with politics. It was said to be the place where good ideas come to be buried. And so I'd interfered with the city as an individual for many years. And then when we had the opportunity to decide whether to have a mayor, this was June 2012, Bristol was the only city that actually voted out of 10 cities to have a mayor. And in a cheeky moment, I just thought, well, I'll try. And I had been as president of the Royal Institute of British Architects, of RIBA, where I'd worked with John Thompson on setting up an urbanism unit that we then morphed into the Academy of Urbanism. I'd done a lot of personal regeneration of old industrial buildings, one particularly a tobacco factory of my own, although I had an architectural practice that did lots of others as well. And I got into food and brewing. Jane Jacobs was one of my heroes, and one of the greatest pleasures I ever had was to be able to call her and make her an honorary fellow of the Royal Institute of British Architects before she died. And she informed me, my architect, and I read her book when I was an architectural student. I think it affected me more than anything else. It made me feel that it isn't all about buildings. I bought a little house for a few £100, literally, $1,000, on the hillside there, and they were all grey, and I painted mine pink, and others followed. I, with others, saved the cranes and some of the industrial stuff that was being sold for scrap, and we bought some of it back. And then we sold it back to the city after embarrassing them into doing so, and we set up a ferry service. And anyway, I eventually bought, for peanuts, a tobacco factory, which is the big building in the middle there. This used to be the Imperial Tobacco, which was the biggest industry at the time in the turn of around 1900. Employed thousands of people in the south of the city, and they have dwindled to virtually nothing and relocated. So these buildings came up and in quite challenged area, and I bought one in order to try an experiment in all the things I believed in, and turned it into a mixture of everything. These are scenes in it before. turned it into a mixture of everything I could think of: education, theatre, dance, music, creative industry workspace, places to live, restaurants, and it has become, it's replaced the manufacturing with another form of heart of the community, because that community was built around this place. It's now become a community that is very passionate about local. It will never over-gentrify because it's got a very large block of, several blocks of social housing, which make it a much healthier place and a much healthier mix. I've started a thing of occupying our streets much more. We have become a bit of a street party city, and I think it gives it cohesiveness. It brings everybody together. It's something that has been experienced in a very big way in Bogota. And I just thought we'll do that. So on Sundays, special Sundays, we close our street, and we've got to change the language. And we're becoming a happy city. We're trying to measure our success not in GDP alone, but in a balance of GDP and well-being. That was my youth mayor, one of my youth mayors. We've become a city that makes a lot of independent stuff. We take over old industrial premises and turned it into all sorts of different things. And to quote Lewis Mumford, it's in the city is theatre, that man's purportive activities are formulated. Make Sundays Special is my program that is, at the moment it is in the heart of the city, but I want this to happen in every single community, where Sunday is a time when you don't feel you have the right to drive wherever you want to in your car. You can still drive around. But this is the change of language. Is road open for people? I hate the negative terms. You know, all our standard signs say road closed. That's open. That is one of the busiest streets in terms of traffic, one of the most polluted streets in the heart of our city, and people love it because there are no cars there on that day. It makes it all the more special. It makes it more magnetic than a park. We put markets now wherever we can. We used to be really restrictive with markets. I'm saying start a market wherever you can. We Hitler bombed a quarter of our old city. I've now got plans for regenerating that missing quarter, or part of the missing quarter, in order to extend that market area. We've now become European Green Capital for 2015, just the 6th European city to do so, and that's going to be a great platform. And I've been talking to Bruce Katz about how we might twin with an American city in doing that, and other cities across the world, because it is a great commodity. If you're an exemplar city, that becomes a commodity that you can sell. We're passionate about independence. We even have our own currency. I've got a few here that I might distribute later. As long as you promise to come and spend them here, we have our own Bristol pounds. And it may not be a significant part of the economy, but it's been a fantastic marketing and talked about tool for the city. But I've described the city, along with loads of other initiatives, as being a laboratory for change, for energy change, for social change. We only have, compared with American cities, it might seem quite small. We are what we call BME, black and minority ethnic people of colour, is under 20% in Bristol, but it's doubled since in this century. We are covering many of our roofs in solar voltaics, which makes sense because energy prices are sensible in Europe. I drive around in a totally electric car and encouraging others to do so. We're setting up our own energy company for the city that has now built 2 giant wind turbines and is taking on a lot, and will work in partnership with other energy companies, with and with communities. I'm a great believer in small is beautiful, building from bottom up, and therefore devolving as much power to the neighbourhoods as possible to give them a sense of ownership. This green stuff mustn't just belong to the middle classes, it mustn't belong to the centre, it must belong to everybody. So finally, we are developing around our station a new enterprise zone, which will be the focus of the new industries, the creative industries, and innovation around the, and we're linking that to the city with a new community. So there is Bristol, independent city, and what it's been dying for is some leadership, and I think that is the key to every single issue, that we have people who lead from the front. Thank you.